Hello, flower friends. Are you ready to throw out those old wilty flowers on your counter? Hold on. I'm going to show you 3 ways to repurpose them so nothing goes to waste. My name is Ellen Frost. I'm building a community of flower nerds online by sharing knowledge and creating connections. So if you're like me, you will have wilty old flowers on your kitchen counter. And rather than just throw them in the compost or worse, in the trash, I'm going to show you a couple different things that you can do with old wilty flowers so that they have a new life. The first thing I'm going to show you is how to dry flowers. Drying flowers, especially air drying flowers, is one of the easiest way to reuse old flowers. So the first thing that you want to do, remove all of the leaves so that it's just a single stem. And you want to try to keep the stems as long as possible. That way you just have more flexibility on what you do with these afterwards. And once you dry your flowers, there are so many things that you can do with them. You can make dried bouquets, dried centerpieces, dried wreaths. And if you're curious about what flowers dry the best, I have an entire guide. There's a link in the profile that shows you what flowers dry the best. So once I have all of my flowers cleaned off, I'm going to give them a little trim so that they're nice and even. And then I am going to rubber band them together. I'm going to just use any old rubber band, and I'm going to rubber band them in the way that the farmers rubber band because it is a little bit easier. So the way you do that is to take your rubber band, put it along one stem, and then just wrap it around, and then add it back onto a single stem. And what that does is just when you're ready to use these dried flowers, it's easy to take that rubber band off rather than trying to fool around with a too tangled rubber band. So I have my flowers nice and clean. They're hanging upside down. And the idea is that I'm going to let them air dry. So this is the easiest way, super low tech. What I'm going to do is hang them upside down from the ceiling and let them dry that way. You want to make sure that when you put them in a place to dry, that it is not too warm and it's not too moist. You don't want these to get moldy. You want good airflow in the space that you're hanging them. And if you can put them in a dark room, that actually will help save the color. Because when you're using dried flowers, it's always fun to have dried flowers that still have some of their color retained. So they'll retain their color better if you put them in a dark space. So I've got them rubber banded, and now I'm going to just hang them up on the ceiling. And every flower takes a different amount of time to dry. You're going to have to just experiment with the flowers that you have. It could take a couple of days to a couple of weeks, but once they're done, you're ready to design. Another fun thing to do with those old spent stems is to press them. People have been pressing flowers for thousands of years, and you can use pressed stems for all kinds of craft projects. I particularly like to use them for little note cards, but you can do all kinds of things with them. So this is my flower press. It's from Kate Punnett. She is a Canadian flower farmer and artist, and she actually created this press. It's a beautiful press. What it is layers of cardboard, paper, and felt that are going to be the places where you lay your flowers down and then basically press them until they are dry and flat. So you're going to need a piece of, just a regular piece of paper, like a piece of copy paper, and you're going to lay it down on top of your cardboard. And you can either press the entire flower, or you can break off petals and press the petals individually. So you just want to try to make them as flat as possible. They don't have to be totally flat because a lot of times they are not going to be. For tulips, because they are so curved, I love just doing the petals, and you can see these petals are so beautiful. They have lots of different colors, and actually from the outside they're not as interesting. So pressing them is really going to be a pretty project. So I'm going to just lay these petals down. And then I also have, this is a butterfly ranunculus, and it does have sort of a center here. You can either cut that out, or you can press it, but it probably will get a little bent. I'm going to just leave it in there. And then I have some little tiny mini daffodils. And again, you can cut off each little bloom and press those individually, or you can lay the whole stem down and press it that way. So I'm going to do them both ways. So then what I'm going to do is take another piece of copy paper, put it right on top, So you're basically layering so that your flowers get pressed. And then once you have them in there, you're gonna put the lid back on and crank them closed. I will show you a couple that I have that I put in a couple weeks ago. And this I used the felt for. It's a little bit softer. And you can see how these were butterfly ranunculus, how they pressed. This one's particularly cute because it has the stem. And then these are some hellebores, which I also pressed. And if they are sticky coming off, you can just use a knife or a blade to help them pull them off. So pressing flowers is a great way to get some more life out of your old spent stems. Another project is to create a floral flatlay. And basically that just means taking your old stems and creating an image on a flat surface. You can use, I'm using a chalkboard, and use that as a way to create a floral image. This is really just a creative way to use different flowers. You can use them with the stems on, or you can take the stems off and just use the heads of the flowers. And the purpose of this is really just to create a design that is beautiful and interesting, and I think captures the moment perfectly of what flowers are in season on that day. And the idea is just to then take a photograph of it and either keep it for yourself or share it. You can do that, on your social media, but it is a really fun way to use up all of the seasonal blooms. You can actually create, other kinds of images. You can make a nature scene. People do all kinds of different things with their flatlays. So if you found this video helpful, be sure to like it, subscribe to my channel, and share it with a flower friend that might be interested too. And if you're a flower nerd, subscribe to my free weekly newsletter. There's a link in the description.